Welcome to the Veterans Cafe podcast, where we talk about issues surrounding veterans and soldiers, as well as current events in the world.
Sometimes we interview guests and organizations, but more than anything, we are here for you.
Welcome to episode 18 of the Veterans Cafe podcast. I'm Wes.
I'm Tracy.
And today we had an awesome opportunity to have someone on the show. His name is Hogan, and he's the community manager for an organization called Operation Supply Drop. They do some really awesome stuff for veterans as well as currently active serving soldiers. So we had the opportunity to speak with him for about half an hour, and it was a really great conversation.
Oh, he was so much fun. You're going to love this interview. He made me laugh pretty much the entire time. So much so, right, that we were laughing before we even started it. He was very charming, and I loved it.
Actually, yeah, I wanted to mention, when we do start the interview, it kind of cuts in a weird place because I have to let you know that somehow we were fortunate enough to actually reach out to someone who used to be in the broadcast industry, and he actually taught us a little something about how to record this thing properly.
He was so much fun. Please stay tuned and listen to everything he has to say. It's an impressive organization. And, I mean, come on, without any further ado, the charming Hogan.
We definitely appreciate you being on this show with us.
And not a problem at all. Thanks for the invite.
No, yeah, and I was a little interested in asking you, what kind of part do you play in the organization that you work for?
So my role is I am a community manager for the 8-Bit Salute. And what that really translates to is I talk to the people who stream for us. I go to events. I work with thank you deployments. I'm kind of the charismatic cheerleader who's rah-rahing his way through everything, but not. One of the nice things about my job is I don't ever have to ask for money. I am not tied to fundraising at all. My job is simply to work with people, and if they want to help us out, get them to the right place. If they want to stream, of course, get them and have them stream. If they want to go and be part of the teams, the actual physical teams that are out in cities across the U.S. and world, get them involved with those. If they want to meet us at events, of course, I want to be there with them and kind of spearhead those things. So it's a great myriad of things. But I am a community manager at heart. So that's my official title.
I have to be honest with you. If you're not the person that's out there asking for the money and everything, if I were your boss, you're the one I would have out there asking for money and everything based on everything I've heard so far. So I can't even imagine what kind of people you have on that level. I mean, I'd probably be like paying you right now and I don't even have any money.
I appreciate that. This is a different kind of charity. So let me explain what's going on here.
Okay.
We don't need to ask you for money because if you want to donate, you've already made up your mind because you've gone to our website and looked us up, or you've researched us, or you've talked to a veteran who's been impacted by some of the work we do. So there is no question in my mind. You've already figured out whether or not you like Operation Supply Drop. Now, the question is, how do you get involved? Because a lot of times people say, I don't have the money. And that's okay. There are a lot more valuable things in this world than money. Time is much more valuable than money. If I have your time and you tell 5 people about Operation Supply Drop, man, the money will come. Mm-hmm. Or the products will come. That's even more important. We have great sponsors who give us things so that we can ship things overseas to the troops who are over there. We can do thank you deployments. We can, I'm taking 40 veterans to PAX South, which if you don't know about that, that's a huge gaming event as a thank you deployment. So we're bringing 40 veterans, and every time I say this, I've said this like 5 times in the last 5 days, and I've got goosebumps again. I'm actually looking at my arms to verify that. Yes. But I'm going to have 40 veterans there with me at PAX South. That is a dream for a gamer. That is not a light thing. I mean, we do things like play with the Chicago Bears, play video games, play Madden.
So crazy. Awesome.
Going to E3, that's going to happen this year. How can you not be excited about this organization? And when you tell people about what you do, you don't have to say, now, can you give me $5? Can you give me $10? I don't need to say that. You are either going to give us money or you're not, or you're either going to help us with your time or not. I don't need to convince you.
Well, that's awesome, actually. And you know, you kind of went into it a little bit about, you were talking about sending stuff overseas, and you were talking about gaming a little bit. So, of course, we went and looked on your website, and we saw that you have a couple of different programs. Is there any way you could possibly kind of lay those out for us and let us know specifically what your organization does?
I'm going to give you the long version since we're on a podcast.
Absolutely, of course. We got all the time in the world, sir. Spit it out.
Normally, I do the quick and dirty because that's what the TV people like. But
right.
no, I'm going to give you the long and
this
clean.
This is the new media. Bring it.
So I did mention our supply drops. Let me just tell you a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. So we don't just give stuff. And when I say stuff, I mean complete gaming consoles that are in a special shell that's made by a company called Games that is made for high endurance. So they're made to be in these rough places like Afghanistan, Iraq.
I saw it's like Pelican briefs basically that you send us stuff in. Yeah,
it really is. And then so we have an Xbox One in there with a monitor, right?
So amazing.
And controllers, and it's an all-in-one kit. Send that over. We send about I think 5 to 10 of them, depending on the drop and depending on the unit size. And then we send just a metric ton. There is no such thing, but a metric ton of games along with it. I'm keeping it clean because I don't know if you're not safe for work or not. But anyway,
we don't care.
Take a metric ton of games to go with it, and T-shirts and little tchotchkes that may seem like nothing to you and me because we're here stateside, but as you probably know or can probably imagine, any little taste of home is helpful. And it's not socks, it's not romance novels, it's not the crippy crap that we used to give away that was of no use. These people were playing games before they went in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or Coast Guard. So why not embrace that and give them games while they're out in the world. So that's the supply drops. We did over 30 last month. So if you calculate, that's more than one a day, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We have the teams. The teams actually sometimes help out with the supply drops, so you're a person who wants to get involved somehow with Operation Supply Drop because you say, hey, this sounds kind of cool. I'm a veteran, or my dad was a veteran, my mom was a veteran. I want to get involved. So we have many teams across the entire world, believe it or not. And all you have to do is go to the teams.operationsupply.org, and you can go there and find one local to you or start one local to you. And we give you we put the onus on you. Whatever you want to do, let's make it happen. You want to take veterans and you want to do some kind of thank you deployment. Thank you for your service. It's not just words. Let's put it into action. Let's show that we actually thank veterans for their service and not just put a yellow ribbon up and not just put a green light up, but actually say, hey, we're going to take you out. We're going to go do something with you. Maybe we just all go out to dinner one night. We're going to Ruth's Chris and we're going to foot the bill, whatever it is that you guys figure out, we say, yes, let's do it. What do you need from us? How can we facilitate this? How can we make this happen? So that's the teams. The teams do all sorts of stuff. It's whatever you want to do, which for a charity is both a blessing and a curse. It's a curse because you have very little control over what happens, but it's a blessing because the people doing it are so good-hearted, and we vetted them a little bit, and we know that they're taking care of our fellow veterans. So that's the team. So there's the third part, which is a little odd to some people, and that's the 8-bit salute, and that's what I'm in charge of. If you're an older gamer like myself, it is a little strange to think that people want to watch you play video games. But believe it or not, that actually happens. And people will actually donate to you for your streaming capabilities and whatnot. If you've heard of Twitch, that's what we use almost exclusively. And we host streamers who want to come on and donate their time. Remember, we were talking about time being more effective than money. They donate their time and stream for us. We put together weekends worth of streaming on popular video games. We often get developer support with that. And it's a fun time for everybody. And honestly, during that whole time, we're not saying, hey, give us your money, give us your money. We're actually just saying, hey, come play video games with us and check us out. Because again, I don't want to understate it too much. Money is very helpful, but that's not what we're about.
It's kind of interesting to hear you describe all this, because especially when you were talking about the My Teams thing, because I can, of course I can get the supply drop thing, but the My Teams thing, I feel like I want to kind of hear you go a little bit more in depth as to what kind of things you guys do with these guys. I mean, I don't know. I'm just so fascinated with it.
So I'll give you an example of one we did last month in December. So I'm in North Carolina, so I'm close to many bases, but of course Fort Bragg is probably the most notable. Mm-hmm. And we went down to Fort Bragg as a team, the North Carolina team, and we distributed loot crates, which are these little boxes that have all sorts of tchotchkes and shenanigans and things in them that are all gaming related. We distributed those. We distributed current video games.
I was going to say that alone is amazing, I have to say.
Current video games. Fallout 4 we gave out in December for PS4 and Xbox One. I mean, that I was looking at it going, I don't even have that, man.
Yeah.
We gave away games. We gave away all these things that we got from support from Loot Crate and from the developers. And we actually were invited to a Signal Battalion's Christmas party. And we were able to go there and had a raffle. And honestly, everybody got a prize because that's just how we work. And it was a really special time. What we didn't know when we were scheduling this, and until after we got there, they had actually lost one of their soldiers the day before.
Yeah.
And it was a really rough situation for everybody involved. So for us to get there and be able to make fun where there literally was none, mm-hmm. And to kind of make people remember, happy things and be part of something and go around and be, inspirational in a way. That's what it's about. It's about making that connection. These people will be veterans one day. They are currently active duty. Mm-hmm. And when they get out, they're going to need people in the area that they can talk to. They're going to need people in the area that they know of. They're going to need an organization that they can go and talk to fellow veterans. And that's the real key here. I'm a Gulf War era veteran. I was not in the Gulf War. I served from 95, 98, mm-hmm. 3 short little years. Mm-hmm. However, there is no organization out there for people like me. If you think about it, there's the American Legion, great organization if you're over 65, not so great if you're in your 20s getting out of the military. Right. You've got the VFW, great for people who have served overseas. I didn't, so that discounts me as well. You've got the Marine Corps League. They're kind of exclusive to Marine Corps. You can see where I'm going with this. There are not many groups out there that say, hey, we don't care where or how you served. Did you serve? You're with us.
Yeah. And
Operation Supply Drop is that manner. Of course, we love our civilian partners. They outnumber us about 3-1, 4-1, and
which is incredibly inspiring. I mean, come on. I mean, how many organizations do you really see that kind of thing going on? So that's pretty amazing.
That's quite true. And to be honest with you, that actually falls in line with the statistics of veterans to civilians. Because if you think about it, there are only about 3.5 million disabled veterans in the U.S. Mm-hmm. There are about 450 million people in the U.S. So there's a really low number. I don't remember how many veterans there are total. I want to say 12, but that could be wrong. But it's a very low number. If you know any veterans, you're already statistically way ahead of the game. If you know a disabled veteran, you're really way ahead. You ought to go play the lottery,
Yeah.
But for us to have that kind of interaction with people and have that safe haven is very key to our cause.
Absolutely. So I think there was one more small portion that I read about called the thank you deployments.
Right.
I mean, did you kind of cover that already?
Not really. At least for somebody like me, I'm not familiar with that term.
Sure. Well, I did mention them a couple of times, but I'll actually say what it's all about. So a thank you deployment is a way for the community, whatever that community may be, to give back to veterans. Because as I mentioned, it's not
okay.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
okay.
about the yellow ribbon. It's not about the green light. Those are all nice gestures. It's a great thing to have a bumper sticker that says we support our troops, but what do you actually do? And that's what it comes down to. It's the question. It's the challenge. What did you do to support our troops? Because it's great to say it. Hey, we support them.
Right.
But if you didn't actually do anything to support them other than put a bumper sticker on that, that really doesn't help much. Thanking veterans for their service. That's a lovely gesture, but that's really not what it's about either. How did you actually thank them? Shake their hand. That's lovely. That's fantastic. Did you buy their coffee? Okay, that's pretty cool. I'll give you that. But it's on a grander scale that we're looking at things. So taking them to any kind of sports event. We've got NBA, NHL, NFL, WWE. We've got all these connections to anything sports related. And we're getting veterans out to those big premier events in a VIP exclusive experience that only they will get. I mentioned PAX South that we're going to. They're going to get so loved on. It's not even funny. And most of that's going to be by me,
because you're a soldier or a veteran and you know how to act that way. We get it.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's, I heard one person say one time that we put our veterans up too much on a pedestal. And I had to think about that for a minute because I like to give everybody a chance to explain what they mean or take a different side of things. And I thought about it. And after I read the statistics about how many veterans are out there and how many disabled veterans out there compared to the normal number of people and what it is we all went through, every veteran has gone through boot camp alone. And being through boot camp, you can understand why that's significant. There are people who will say, I didn't join the military because I don't want people yelling at me. I didn't want to join the military because I didn't want to go overseas. What they don't understand is when you join the military, you lose all of your perceptions that you had before you joined.
Oh my God, yes.
Is that, do you agree with that?
Oh my God, yes. I joined later in life. You certainly don't want to hear my life story, but when I joined at 36, and I was blown away of just how different it is than I thought it was.
Yeah. And you can't explain it. I can't tell you what it's like, why it's different or what's going on there. So the shared experience that we all have as veterans, that my dad had as a Vietnam veteran, that my granddad had as a World War II and Korea veteran, we all shared the same kind of experience in boot camp. It wasn't exactly the same, but it was similar. It was similar enough that we all have a starting point to have that conversation. So we have a bond, and that bond is important and is sacred, and it should be nourished. It should be nurtured. It should be celebrated. So why are we celebrating our veterans? Because they have that bond together, because they're the ones who stepped up and said, hey, I'm signing my name on the line. I'm writing a contract over to the U.S. government for my entire life, my body, my life, everything about me. It's now the government's. And that takes, that takes a certain character. That's not just something that everybody does. So coming back to the thank you deployments, the reason that we do the thank you deployment is because we all signed the dotted line. We all took the oath. We all went through boot camp. We all understand the sacrifices that we all have made in any way possible, be it just being away from family. Maybe you're a reservist and you were on call all the time. Hey, that's pretty nerve-wracking to be on call, especially when there are wars on. Maybe you just served during peacetime like me, but that's okay. You were there. You served. That's the important part. So I think that a thank you deployment, I don't have to justify it. It's one of those things that when people find out, they're like, I want to be involved in that. I want to do something like that. How do I get involved? And that, of course, is why I like talking about it.
So I'm pretty interested because you talked about, of course, you talked about like sending things overseas. You talk about things that you guys do here. So how involved are you guys with other organizations? How much can you do independently, and how much do you need to get involved with, say, like the MWR or things like that overseas to make this kind of stuff happen?
Well, MWR is its own animal, and we have actually just recently had discussions with them. We want to have more in-depth organizational level discussions with them. As we stand right now, we're having very local discussions with them. So a team in like San Antonio will go to Fort Sam and they'll say, hey, let's talk about things and talk to their MWR. We're attempting to get more organizational with stuff like that. And as you know, it's military and it's bureaucracy and there's a lot of red tape to cut, but we're getting there. Other charities, on the other hand, we love partnering with other charities. We know there are a lot of charities out there that are doing a lot of good work for the similar cause of helping veterans. We actually just did a fundraiser, not this past weekend, but the weekend before that, for a veteran who was active duty, who was killed in service. Staff Sergeant McClintock, and we help raise money for his family.
Which is incredibly important.
We have no problem distributing the wealth or the love. We don't need the fame or the fortune. Right. We need to just keep doing our thing and running our race and helping the veterans that we can. I thoroughly, wholeheartedly believe in this organization. I've worked for other charities before that were veteran-centric. I know that if you're running a 12% operating cost, you're doing something magical. Right. If you've done that for the past 5 years, that's amazing. And of course, Operational Supply Drop has. So that means that 88 cents out of every dollar goes directly to programs. Whereas you have some other larger organizations that say they help all veterans that don't necessarily.
I was just about to say that that's almost like unorthodox in this time and age. It's we've talked about it before, and it's almost upsetting and like
it just like, plain hurts my stomach. He's being nice.
Yeah. So.
I looked at the statistics of a certain cancer research group, or at least they claim to be trying to find a cure. Mm-hmm. And it turns out they are the exact opposite of us. They are 88% directly back to overhead, and 12% 12 cents out of every dollar actually goes to research.
I don't understand that. How
right.
do those?
And if they have a big name at this point, it almost seems like if they have a big name, that's basically what you would find if you looked at any of their operating statements. So it's almost upsetting, but it's a little refreshing too to know that you can look at some of these smaller organizations, and just automatically kind of know, well, at least I'm contributing to a good cause. And so, I mean, that's awesome for you guys. I mean, I'm not saying that you're incredibly small, but
I was just going to say, let's not.
No, I'm not trying to say that at all.
Let's not say we're small, because we're definitely
but look,
not that.
You're not spending $1 million on ad campaigns and that being 88% of your operating cost either, so it's a little refreshing to find an organization like yours and
here's a
and
great
to know that that's
example
happening.
Of our not putting money into overhead. All right. So PAC South, big event, and it costs, I think it was around $1,500 to have a table at the event. Mm-hmm. Okay. Where we could be there and we could advertise about Operation Supply Drop. We could talk about it. We could bring people over, standard conference booth stuff. Mm-hmm. Instead of getting a booth, we bought more tickets for veterans.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Is that not awesome?
It is. That's one of the reasons
that is amazing.
Yeah.
So speaking of this, that was actually one of the other questions that I know I had sent you. All these things that you guys are doing for veterans and soldiers out there. I kind of want to know what kind of feedback you're getting, not just from soldiers themselves, because of course, I mean, look, I was just overseas in 2014. I put in my hours on Call of Duty and all that. Yeah. And if I had gotten that game from you guys, I of course, I'd be saying these guys Of course, they're amazing. They sent me this game. I spent a bunch of time doing, like distracting me, all that good stuff. But I want to know also, what kind of feedback are you guys getting from leadership, if you are getting any kind of feedback from them? Like how is this program really affecting the way leadership are seeing soldiers, maybe improving better or maybe at least coping with the situations that they're in?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. The biggest change you can see is when we go to a hospital. And when you go to a hospital, having served at a military, three military hospitals, I can say for sure that video games are definitely needed there, especially in the rehab wards for orthopedic stuff. Only because it's a sense of normalcy that you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, though, I've been reading lately that video games have become like an intricate part in rehab, not just as a sense of normalcy, but also as a sense for them to like wind down and to relax and disconnect from those kind of problems that they're having. So it's not just, in my opinion, being having that normal environment, but it seems to be much more than that. So I mean, you guys seem to be much more involved in that than you may see.
And I might have misspoken. Normalcy, I mean, I don't mean, they're lost in the world and that's their new normality. What I meant was it gives them a sense of, what honestly it is, it's home.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
It gives them a sense of home. And so you were asking about leadership and how they react to that. And I want to make sure I answer your question. So the leadership love it, but they have to be very careful because they are still in uniform.
Right.
So they can only love it so much. And the real reaction we get is from the people who are receiving the benefit directly. Mm-hmm. And those patients who are in the hospitals, they just, you cannot describe the amount of joy that is on their faces. You can take pictures, but that doesn't do them justice. Mm-hmm. And those kind of supply drops that we do, to burn units and to sometimes even psych units that we can get to, everything that we can get out there and just bring a little bit of home and say, hey, guess what? Games are still there. They were there when you left. They're still here. Let's play games together. And guess what? When you're out, we're still here. We're going to be here too. We're going to help you out. We're going to play games together. We're going to do things for other veterans. We're going to keep on our mission of helping other veterans. So it's a great thing for everybody involved. And it's a very emotional experience for everybody involved.
I have to think, from my point of view, somebody just listening, especially because, I can hear just the appreciation and, the respect that you have and the love and the passion for your organization. What can I do? Like if I'm listening, like right now, like how could I help you at this point?
Well, obviously, as I said, the easiest way to help is go to the teams.operationsupply-drop.org or just go to operationsupply-drop.org and figure out how you can help. We've mentioned many programs we've got there. Hey, maybe you have an idea for a program that would be better than what we've got. Great. We'll listen. We want to help veterans. That is our only focus, is helping veterans. And we've included active duty. We've decided to give them the title of veteran because, believe it or not, they are. But maybe it's just a technicality that they're not yet. They are veterans, awesome. Even though they don't know it yet. So if you want to get involved, operationsupply-drop.org. It's really easy. Just go there. It tells you how you can help out. Perfect. And we put a little pitch in there for donations. You can do that if you like. Mm-hmm. That's great. Time is always the best thing to donate, as I've mentioned. So if you want to get involved locally, we'll get you to the teams and we'll get you hooked up. I can tell you that every single one of the submissions that go to the site, normally you would think, okay, well, there's a bot or there's a program or something that goes through and weeds it out. No, our COO actually answers each of those individually and then ships them off to the appropriate person so that we can greet them individually. It is a highly inefficient but very personable way of handling things.
But that's more important.
I could actually attest to that, because that's how I contacted you guys. Was I literally went on your website and I went through like the whole contact page and everything, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little surprised when I got an email back from this guy who had like this heavy title for an organization like that. So I'm that's pretty amazing that that it really sends the message that everyone in your organization from top to bottom is completely in touch with what's going on in the organization, whether it's a tiny little email from a tiny little podcast or it's somebody who's actually trying to donate something to you guys. So that's amazing to me.
It was very impressive.
I got to tell you, when the sergeant major decides that he's going to take over things, that's what you let him do.
That's right. And as long as you don't walk in his grass, everything will be good. So.
He's got I mentioned this in text earlier. He's got this real annoying habit of calling me Sarge. And I've explained to him there is no such thing as Sarge in the Navy. You call me petty officer, but that wouldn't work because it's not really, just no Sarge. He just still calls me Sarge.
So
come on, Sarge, don't be like that.
Well, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, So, speaking of that, actually, it was fantastic to have you on here and to talk about your organization. And of course, we're gonna do as much as we can to share everything we can about your organization, but I have to say again, at some point, I'd love to have you on here to talk a little bit about your time in the Navy, Gray. So it was really great having you on here, and as two soldiers. Yeah, two soldiers in the Army. We don't have a whole lot of knowledge about what goes on in the Navy. So we'd love to hear about your experience with it.
Other than I would have my life like vest on the entire time.
Me too. It'd be Dramamine and like floaties in my arms. I'm not gonna lie.
No. See, I was on a converted oil tanker. The most we had was a severe list to the right and made everything fall out. That's a sea story for a whole other time. I'd love to come back. I really appreciate the time that you guys are spending. I hope you all the success. I know that podcasts are very frustrating because you don't know who you're talking to. So if you are listening to this podcast, please make sure and give the feedback to the Veterans Cafe and let them know that you're listening. Even if it's just a great episode or, hey, decent episode, or that was really interesting. I don't care. Just give a comment somehow and let them know that you're listening and paying attention because they need the love.
Well, we can't thank you enough for that. And we definitely, like I said, we definitely want to stay in touch with you. And we want to have you back on here as soon as we possibly can, because this was awesome. We really appreciate you coming on.
Not a problem at all. Anytime, be happy to be here.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Gray. We'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, so again, that was Gray Hogan from the organization Operation Supply Drop. We definitely want to send our thanks out to them for coming on the show and letting us know about their organization.
I love that he is looking for time more than like donations. So of course, donations are welcome. So if you have the time, or if you know anybody who has time, please contact this wonderful organization.
Yeah, we will include links and everything in the show notes so you guys can go and visit their website, or you can just go right now to operationsupply.org and check them out, read all about it, and see how you can get involved. Thanks again for joining in, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Visit our website to join the conversation. That's vetscafe.com, vetscafe.com.